All right, here we go on the next one. This one here is a 6th order or Bandpass 6. Gonna house two 10-inch American-based DX series sub. This is for another return customer. It's actually gonna be a raffle box for his company. We're gonna start out using 3/4-inch MDF. Get all pieces pre-cut and ready, and we'll start the assembly process. Always using that 100% glue coverage, 1 5/8 coarse wood screws, and sliding adjustable clamps. Setting the depth of my drill bits so when I pre-drill each hole, I know I won't have any wood splittage there. Screw placement and gapping, 2 to 3 inches. You'll be fine with 4, but 2 to 3 inches is a good range to stay with there. This one here is an actual first for us here at 210 Design. I've never built a 6th order before. Seen them, got the program to do it, just don't have a lot of calls for it. So I wanted to go ahead and try this one. The customer gave me full creative control, said I can do what I want to do with it. I have no complaints on the previous boxes I built for them. So I said, okay, let's try it. Here I am setting up my spaces for each side of the port so I can get the middle piece installed and secured into place. I'll have the way the box is going to set up, the ports will be facing, on the same side facing out. That's how we decided to design this one here. Just give you a different view of what we're looking like there. And we'll start with the divider with actually the baffle that's going to house both subwoofers here. So getting my line straight, finding the point. I need to make my marks. And I think while I was doing that, I was multitasking, getting ready to work on the ports. That's the one section side, the L-style port. Go ahead and make it, attach it, round over on both of them. You can see the 2 different port links there because 2 different tuning. One's going to be tuned high, one will be tuned low. Put them into place to mark up, outline, just so I can pre-drill all my holes. Everything is dry fitted right now. Just double checking myself, making sure the gapping, the port width is the same throughout. There, I've got it outlined. Like I said, pre-drill it, that way I don't have to mark it on the outside of the box. Try to guess where it is. Double checking the subwoofer cutout hole, plus the outer diameter cutout as well. Just checking for clearance is what I'm doing there. Here I'm doing a test scrape before I cut the router on, just to make sure my measurements are true. Screw the baffle to the table and just cut out each subwoofer cutout there. And we'll go ahead and add some glue and secure it into place. Almost forgot to pre-drill, so I had to go and take it back out and redo that real quick. Now I put it in place. Use that extra scrap pieces where it's got that bow in there so I can get that pull on the middle. Where I can't put a clamp at, that's why that's like that. Here I'm judging how much I need to paint for the port opening. Only paint what you can see. And that's what I'm using that pencil for to show you. Once I find that location, mark it, and then I know I don't have to paint anything past that point because nobody's gonna see that point from beyond that point. Just trying to save a little bit of money. Overspray, no point in spraying something you're not gonna see. It's all outlined out, and each port's gonna be different. Well, I'll wait, you'll see that here in a little bit. Double checking for my 45s. Go ahead and put whichever ones I can put into place now, I'll go ahead and do that. Got them pre-marked so I wouldn't get confused. And with me doing it this way, I want to just put the screws from the outside in so I don't have to do any wood filler to cover up screw holes. That's why these are screwed in like this. Less work. Some bracing here I'm going to add to the larger chamber. Go right between both baffles. Get it centered up and secured into place. Never throw your scrap pieces away. You never know when they'll come in handy. I'm just adding 45s as needed. No, this isn't a 45. This is additional bracing for later on. It'll make sense later, but that's what this piece is for. Be for the access point or the access lid for the subwoofers. That's all I'm doing there, just thinking ahead of myself. Add some more bracing. You can never go wrong with bracing as long as you calculate it in your internal cubic feet. Cut out for the speaker terminals, get it all lined up and squared in, pre-drilling holes. I just masked off everything that I don't want painted, all my edges, joined seamed edges, so you don't get that overspray on there. Hit it with some sanding paper between prime and coats, knock that rough layer off of it, and just repeat and apply. Go ahead with that first coat, and this is what I was talking about. Both ports are gonna be different colors. And you see them spots, that's not my fingerprints, that's actual rain. I had rain splotches on there. I had a leak up there that I didn't pay attention to, so. But I sand it on out and take care of that, so you won't even notice it later on. But just showing you the process between each one. Do a layer of paint, sand it down, add another layer of paint, and just repeat it. Just don't rush it. In between I'm doing all this painting, I'm doing other stuff that I'm not showing yet, but it'll eventually come together. I think this was one more coat, and I think this side was gonna be done. Yep. Finished out the box the same way. Try to get that theme, that American flag theme going. And this is, like I said, between paint drying, this is what I was doing. I was over there sketching out the flag, marking, measuring, erasing. You see my little eraser right there, it's about gone, but it's a lot of back and forth, being tedious, making sure it's done right. Something that I like. It's pleasing to the eye. Everything matches and it just flows. You gotta take your time with it. I removed all the newspaper and tape. Now I'll go ahead and build some pocket screws again so I don't have to use any wood filler. And I put the pocket screws on the right side. The other side was wrong. I missed that. But I redid it and got them on the right side. Clamp those into place, secure them. And on the pre-painted areas, I think I used a t-shirt just so my clamp wouldn't scuff that up. To kind of protect that freshly painted area. I'll go ahead and work the larger side pour it, just repeat the process. Yeah, I didn't use any on that one. Add some more 45s. And I was looking like something. I thought it was gonna be a lot larger box, but it wasn't. Didn't want to make it too big. Pretty gentle for some bracing. Areas you can't get the glue bottle in there, I just put it on your finger and dab where it is. Even if you can't get but a little bit in there, it'll help. It'll help secure that in when it sets up. And I'm gonna add some more wooden dowel bracing around the port opening as well. That's what I'm doing here. Marking before I pre-drill everything. And secure those into place. We'll change it up and get a couple of different other angles just so you can see them. Well, on the left I didn't paint, you won't see it. So that's why I didn't paint it. That's why it's unpainted. Masked off areas. Now I'll go ahead and work on the top piece. Repeat the process, masked off only what you'll see. Get it ready. I'll go ahead and secure it on up. Seal this one on up. I always leave a little bit of overhang for the top piece because nothing ever comes out exactly the way you started. It'd rather be a little over than under. Just hit it with that flush trim bit, smooth it on out. Now I'll go ahead and start working on the access part I was talking about. Just so the place where I'll be sliding the subwoofers in. That's the access port, hole, whatever you want to call it. Roughed it out, put me some scrap pieces to flush trim it out, get it all even. Now I'll go ahead and add this final bracing piece for the larger chamber. Just pre-drill, mark these little nail to get my center point, and then get the speed square. Make sure everything is true, and then I'll outline it and go ahead and drill from the bottom, from the inside out. Finish it on off with glue. Always add your glue. Never forget that. Now the larger chamber is complete. Quick walk around just to show you them edges. No silicone. Yeah, I'm liking the way this one turned out. I was real excited about this one. I was skeptical at first, I didn't know. I always doubt myself until the very end, until you put power to it, and then all the doubt will go away. Got to have that coverage. That's how we do it over here at 210. Now go ahead and start working on the cover for this. The little plug, I'm gonna call it a plug. We'll call it the plug. Go ahead and measure it out and cut it in, and then that's where my roundover I have to compensate for there. So you gotta sand it by hand and just take your time and get the fitting you want. It doesn't have to be super tight. I was shooting for that. Again, this is my first one, so I was trying to get as close as I could. Not to perfection, but to the perfect fit. And I think I achieved it. I was very happy with it. A little screw in the middle just so I can pull it in and out. But you see I had it marked top and bottom, so I was flipping it. It fit either way. It didn't matter. Now I'll go ahead and add a 1/2 inch piece that'll go across the entire part of the back that I'll attach that plug piece to, just to seal it all off, to make it kind of disappear where you can't even see that it's back there until you remove it. Use some double face tape, attach it in place. Test fittings, all I'm doing here. Once I liked what I saw, make sure it was even and smooth enough, then just pushed it into place. And that'll be the look that you'll have, or that the box will have from the back side there. So I'll go ahead and removed it, outlined it, removed the plug piece, and then I went ahead and cut it off and separated it because I want that part to come off separate. The bigger part is going to be permanent on there, but I'm just trying to get it as even as I can across the back just for cosmetics. Forth. Once I was happy with that and removed all the tape, lined it up, put it dry fitted back in place, and then same view. Now we're covered. I'm getting back on the flag because I didn't like something about, I think the flag star area, the blue where the stars are going to be, I didn't like the way that was shaped, the ratio, so I ended up changing that. Here I am setting my depth gauge because I'm gonna cut my lines for the stripes. That's what I'm doing here. So I clamp me in a fence into place and just started running it with my skill saw there. Each pass, move it over where I needed it for the next line, and just repeated that process all the way through. That way my lines are gonna be straight. First trying to freehand it or put it on the table saw. I didn't want to do that. Here I'm marking for the flag, get my little grid pattern in, pre-marking, getting those spaced the best way I could. And I'll go ahead and get some wood filler mixed up for the overcuts with the table saw there, or with the skill saw, as I was making those passes for the stripes. Kind of fill those in, any screw holes. See, I got the W and R, that's red, white, so anything that had white I filled in, because the screws, tops of the screws are black, they're dark. I didn't want that to show. I'll go ahead and frame out. This is gonna be the top part to frame in the flag. Cutting that rabbit edge on both sides so I can tuck the fabric from the flag and also from the box. That's why they're cut on both sides. I think this is the front of the box. Yes, same side that the ports will be on. So that's what I'm working on here, using that 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch hardboard. I think that's what that is. And I'll work the middle part where the decal and the plexi will be. What was I doing there? Pre-drilling, pre-cutting for fabric. There we go, making some more stencils there. I'll go ahead and run it with the flush trim bit. Get my long cuts cut on that, and then I'll freehand the arches. Just take your time with it, sanding blocks. Get it how you want it. A little plexi on top of it and outlined it, and I cut it with the table saw as well. I'm gonna go ahead and mask off everything because I'm gonna paint. Like I said, where the white areas are, the fabric is thin. So paint areas that you're using white just so it doesn't bleed through and it'll make those areas pop. That's why I do that. And you can use gloss white, flat white, it don't matter, just as long as there's something white back there. It makes a big difference. Pre-cut to fit in there like I want it. And I'm sanding it down. Light grit sanding paper on that. I'll go ahead and mark off for the fabric. Get ready for that. Outlined it. Get everything masked off so I don't get overspray on the port. 2-part contacts, play the back of the fabric and the surface. Trimmed it on in. I'll go ahead and remove the back protective coating on the plexi that'll be touching the fabric. And I'll go ahead and add this front part of the hardboard in place. Glue doesn't have to be 100%, excuse me, on that. And there we got the front part finished off. That's ready to be wrapped. Now I'll go ahead and go back to the top and trim in the flag. That's what I'm gonna do with these pieces. Get those secured into place. Just trimming it in made it take a whole different look. Boxing it in. You used to do that when you used to, back in the day when you was young, you used to color. My sister showed me if you trace it in with dark black, and it makes your colors pop. And I always think about that when I trace in my border or trace anything in like that, put a frame around it. The blue is kind of harder to see because of the lighting. The red's gonna pop more. At some instances, the port looks black, but you know it's blue. Working my way in the box. So the edges I cut in. Where you eliminate trying to match seams with your fabric. Cut those edges in there about a 1/4 inch deep. That's all it takes. Come back off that edge about a 1/4 inch as well, about a half inch to a 1/4 inch. Just so your edge isn't so thin it flakes off or it might break off on you, excuse me. Steady working my way around it. Tucking tool I made for years ago. And that's that rabbit edge that I put in there. A lot of masking and taping and masking. It was a lot of that. Preventative measures. I think I was just admiring my own work here. I should have been on to the next step already. Oh, pre-drilling, doing some test fits for test cuts for those white areas for the stars that'll be emulating the stars. And that's what I was doing there. A little Forstner bit. You can kind of see it. I wasn't finna cut individual stars. Y'all really must be crazy. Sometimes you gotta get creative. I ain't that good. All right, back to the old tape and paper. Everything covered up because I'm gonna start on the borders now. Get those wrapped. But I just did it in one piece. It was a lot of waste, but there's no seams doing it this way. Just use a full piece and don't overwork yourself. Start with the inside, roughed it out, tucked it all in, and then work the outsides and the corners. And I pre-cut all the stripes areas. We'll go ahead and get ready for this one. Masked off everything, both surfaces sprayed. Let it sit up for 60 seconds to 2 minutes. Just so it's not tacky to the touch. It's dry to the touch. When it's like that, then it's ready to put into place. I just started layering them off one at a time, taking my time. Had some smooth R&B in the background, and just slow as you go. I'm working the mess out of that tool. That sucker look warped now. Might have to give me another one. Which that's just why I wanted to use the skill saw in that fence, so my lines are true and straight all the way down. Put little slits, take some of the relief off the caps that I'm going to put into place here. These are all these are cap screws. And I didn't use screws, I used my electric tacker. That's why I had that extra 3/8 bit. And it wouldn't go all the way flat, so I pushed them on further down with that hammer and that extension there. They come pre-factory gray, primed gray, just painted them white. Once they dry, just pop them into place with your thumb. And that was it. Boy, I hope he likes this box. Of the design process we went through on this one. Now, I don't know what I'm doing here. What am I doing? More forcing a bit. Change that out. Oh, this is for the plug cover for the access. That's okay. I'm making them for those different style cap screws with these. So it took a smaller forcing bit. That's what I was like. What in the world? We got the cover wrapped. Get it all trimmed in, and then I'll add some foam for the gasket. That's what that's for. We got that masked off. I'll add that little foam gasket around it just to seal it all off. And with me doing that, this part's gonna, the cover that I'm making is gonna stick out a little further than the rest of the box. So it's not gonna be perfectly even, but it won't be as noticeable. But I definitely want to get that good seal. And these aren't brand new subs. He's had these in other builds. That's what I was showing you. So I cleaned off the old wood from the other box. I guess they use some type of glue to seal it on, just to make sure. Always double check your coils, new or used sub, just to be certain. If you've never tried these subs before, you gotta give them a try. Don't let the price fool you. These things perform. I've had them in ported boxes, sealed boxes, and now this box. Go ahead and set up my terminal cups, get my wire together. Quick wiring diagram, the way that I'm gonna follow for this one. Always been my speaker wire through on the backside just in case you get a snag and it don't pull through. Those clamps and springs aren't that strong. Set them in place. Remember, I already pre-drilled, so I ain't gotta worry about squeezing my drill bit in there to do that. Had to get my shorty on this one. Reach back off in there and get those secured into place, and then finalized it by hand. Double checking my ohms at the terminal cup. I'll go ahead and remove the outer protective coating on that plexi. Quick wipe down. I get ready to start adding this decal. Shout out to my guys out there, 918 Vinyls. They do not play around. They always come through. Every job that I've ever done, they've never not come through for me. I really appreciate you both. Just making sure I like the squareness. A lot of times the tape will read different, so you gotta get it how you want it and back up and look at it. Because to the eye, it may change. You want to get it to where it looks right versus if the numbers are off. always cut them in half. Do the bottom half first and the top half, or vice versa. Just makes it less of a fight. And there you have it. Kind of tied that together with the ports, red, white, and blue, you know. The little stuff. Painted up the cap screws to cover up the back hatch. That's what these are for. Like I said, these are different style. I didn't need nothing as big as bulky as I did for the stars. I'll go ahead and seal it up, pushed it in place. Screwed them in, finished them off, and then pushed them in. Let's just show you the little cap action there. Just pop into place like that. And then any touch-up paint marks I missed, I went back and got them. I think I seen one or two on that video clip. But she's done. That's it. Bandpass 6. 2 10-inch American-based DX subs. Hope you enjoyed it. This was very fun for us to build. It's, like I said, something new. I'm always into trying something new every now and again. But talked to the customer about it, and once I didn't let them know what I was doing until they started seeing the post, and they went berserk. So I believe that they did love it. We loved it. We definitely appreciate their business. Like I said, they're returning customers. I can't remember how many boxes we built for them or helped them design over the years, but a real good company. Buy a lot of my products through them that I use for other customers' builds as well. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I really do, and we'll just keep them pushing out for you. We've slowed down because of the season, but we're still coming.